Welcome back to another Rally with Rolly video. I'm Chad. In today's video, I'm going to be doing an oil change on this 2020 Yamaha WR250F in preparation for an adventure down to Moab I'm going to be taking. Be sure to subscribe and join me for that adventure also. Also, I've installed these Tusk Excursion rackless luggage bags. Make sure to check out my install video on that. Okay, you'll want to warm up your engine before you pull the drain plug. That'll stir in the sediments that might be settling in some of the cavities, and the warm oil will drain out of the engine better also. This bike's equipped with the auto stop feature. If it's idling for 7 minutes, it will shut off automatically. I've never had it do that to me, never tested that feature, so that's what I'm going to use to warm up the engine. So yeah, let's see how it works. Well, alright, the 7-minute idle auto shutoff worked. Let's change the oil. Alright, so the tools I'll be using: 1/4-inch drive ratchet, I've got an extension, 8mm socket, 10mm socket, 12mm socket, little wobble extension, and a small Torx wrench. The oil I'm using is 15 weight 50 Yamaha. You'll need a new oil filter, also some gloves, a funnel, rags, I've got some cleaner. Also use a drain pan. Now with the engine warm, remove the skid plate. It has 3 8mm bolts, 2 in the front and 1 underneath towards the back. Use an oil pan to collect your oil, and be sure to properly dispose of your oil. Most auto parts stores will take the oil in. You can recycle it there. Alright, with the 12mm, remove the drain plug. It's on the inside of the frame by the right side foot peg. Okay, now that oil drain plug is on the uphill side of the engine with the bike sitting on the kickstand. So I've cut me some 2x6s. You can use any blocks or anything you can think of. But I've cut me some blocks to go into the swing arm that will stand that bike up level and straight to help drain that oil better. So the oil filter is located here. Just remove those 2 8mm bolts. I like to use this aerosol glass cleaner to clean off my engine before I pull things apart. I like to clean the area around it. I haven't washed my bike for a day or two, so it's a teeny bit dirty, but I'm going to clean up around it so no dirt or debris ends up in there. Alright, I like to wipe any excess oil out of there. And to install the new oil filter, I like to put a teeny bit of new oil on the seals, just so it can slip around when I'm tightening things up. So it hopefully secures in the proper spot. And install it with that deeper cavity over that nipple in there. I like to wipe this all the excess oil off this. Give the O-ring a good inspection, looking for cracks or nicks, things that might let oil seep out of there. They probably recommend you replace that every time, but I'm going to use it a time or two, replace it, another oil change. Alright, install filter and the cover. Line up the top and bottom bolt holes. Put the bolts in, finger tight, and then I'll come back and torque them. Alright, torque specs on the oil filter cover are 10 Newton meters, which equates to 7.4 foot-pounds. Alright, this bike has an oil strainer. It's located behind the shift lever on the left side. The bolt is either a Phillips screw or a 10mm. I recommend using the 10mm. Again, make sure to clean around it so you don't get any more dirt and debris in the engine than you have to. All right, so that bolt there's holding that little strainer in there. So remove that bolt. Take your pliers and pull that little strainer out. Well, that strainer looks nice and clean, so no engine shavings in there, metal shavings, that's good. Inspect the O-ring on the screen and reinstall the screen. That O-ring looked good. I like to stand that up and push that in till it snaps. Reinstall the bolt. Torque specs on this is also 10 Newton meters or 7.4 foot-pounds. Reinstall the engine oil plug. The engine drain plug torque spec is 20 Newton meters or 15 foot-pounds. On the right side of the engine is the oil fill hole. Located there. And for an oil change with an oil filter, it takes 0.79 of a US quart. Now using the sight glass there's a low mark there and a high mark there. I'm going to initially fill it up to the high mark on the oil sight glass, and then I'll start the engine. Right about there. Be sure to put your fill cap back in when you fire up the engine, or it's going to spray oil everywhere out of there. And after I've started it up and then stopped it and let that oil settle back down into the peephole, looks like I need to add some. All right, up to that full mark. And when you start it, you need to check for the oil pressure, and to check that, you remove this bolt. Don't remove it all the way, just loosen it up. And then start the engine up, and as soon as you get oil seeping out of that, that means you have your proper oil pressure. And then tighten it back up and check for your proper oil levels. Reinstall the skid plate, 3 bolts. Those bolts just go into aluminum, they're small bolts. I couldn't find the torque spec. If you get them too tight, you're gonna strip out something or break something. So use your best judgment when you tighten those down. Well, that is how I do the oil change on this WR250F. Make sure you subscribe for motorcycle adventures you will only find here. Thanks for watching. Kurt Saddle.